Hello guys, so today we're doing something a little bit different, something that I've seen Karate Mike do. He's sort of the main inspiration for this, and that was just best champs to awaken. So I sort of found myself thinking, one, I don't know too many champs awakening abilities, so I want to get to know them, so this really helps. And two, I've only got I don't think any of my main champs yet are awakened 6 stars. So I was just thinking, if I get an Awakening gem, who do I want to put it in? Maybe there's people out there who just got 6 stars or who just got a 6-star gem from the banquet and are waiting. So yeah, thought maybe we'll stick through this video, check out some champs who really want it. So obviously we've got the classes. There are more champs. Obviously, if you see a champ who you think is really, really good, and you want to put an Awakening gem, then go ahead. This is just obviously my advice. I don't want to put too many champs on this list as well. So I know that there are some champs who are really, really good with an Awakening gem, but just didn't make it on this list because I just wanted it to be quite limited, and these are just champs that I know. So obviously if I missed any, leave it in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. So we've obviously got 3 on the side. We've got number 1 options. These, if you've got them and an Awakening gem, stick it in straight away. We've got great alternatives. And then if you've got loads of them, like an absolute ton, 10, 20 Awakening gems, or all of the champs above are awakened, go ahead. Or if you really like them, go and do it. So obviously we'll just go through each one, what their ability is, just to get you an idea of sort of why they're so good. So Nick Fury's obviously up there. He has the best awakened ability, in my opinion, just because it is so cool, and that just basically gives him a second life. If you kill him once, he gets a second life, and that can have so much utility in battlegrounds and just questing in general. Korg, again, on the defensive side, he gets thorns if he can almost retaliate about 40% of damage while that rock shield is active. And then if it's also active, it gives him 50%, up to a 50% chance to purify debuffs, which I think is really, really cool. And then Valkyrie, she becomes the best unstoppable counter with pierces, which means you just hit into the block. She can just bypass so many different nodes by only hitting into that block. Again, this will be a quick run through. If you want a more in-depth detail, then leave some comments, and I can obviously do like champion showcases and things like that. Nimrod, let me turn on my do not disturb. How rude. Not very good, prep for the video, is it? Nimrod, why is he so good? Unblockable specials and increased duration of buffs. He also gains armor ups against mutants, so that can just make him even more beefy. Especially on the defensive end, and then while attacking, he's just the absolute mutant killer. Then with Ghost, she begins phasing for 2 seconds. So if they hit into that miss, she generates power, can get her to her special attacks much quicker, can take the fights down a lot faster, and then obviously the quicker you take down a fight, the less chance there is to use a revive. And then Infamous Iron Doom, who, when looking at these, actually had sort of the most utility on his Awakening, almost one that you absolutely have to get the best out of him. And that is that he gets a regen while below 15% health, and that regen, if he's like Sig 200, can do almost his full health bar. It's incredible. He also has 100% reduced ability accuracy, unblockable, so basically he can block unblockable attacks while awakened, and then his block proficiency goes up absolutely massively, so he becomes really, really useful. Then moving on to the science class, Spidey 2099, his chance to not lose his ruptures when they do burst damage is really cool. It means you can build them up similar to what Rintra has on his, with the synergy with Purgatory, I think it is. Yeah, it is. He doesn't lose his ruptures there either. And his withers also reduce combat power rate, which can be really, really good, especially in nodes where they may have an increased combat power rate and they're really gaining power crazy, especially against those mystics. Then Quicksilver, he has increased terminal velocity and speed, so that's really, really helpful. He also, when his whiplashes detonate at above 60 or 60 or above, they get hit with a passive stun. And then while you hit your champ or the defender while they're stunned, your speed increases then as well. So it saves you having to dash back, a bit easier to build him up. And then I've also stuck Spot up there, which I know is a little bit different. However, I think he's going to be an insane defender. and I think he deserves to be up here, and that is because he gets instant ruptures. His ruptures just do damage instantly if he's hit while untouchable, and then also he gets fury on his heavies when untouchable as well, which means he can really build up that damage and can make him really useful on both the defensive end and attacking end. Then Rintrah, moving on to the Mystic class. Power when he neutralizes when his neutralize stops buff, which means he can get to that massive SP2 much faster, which is really, really nice. Really useful against Cosmics or while they're rooted. Doom, obviously, he's got to be up here. His nullifying power gain gives him a power gain, and then chance to be hit with a shock. The opponent gets just automatically can get a shock on them if their buff is nullified. And then a bit of a wild one is Wiccan. I think looking through a lot of the Mystic champs SIG abilities, they do have some really, really good ones in there, but Wiccan just gets the most from his kit. You know, he can block cosmic unblockable attacks, so which is really useful if, say, Hercules is in immortality. He can, in his incinerates, when becoming plasma, he can keep on but still get those plasmas, which is really nice. You almost have 2 debuffs on there. And then his shock, if somebody is shock immune, you know, you're fighting a off the top of my head, infamous Iron Man, those shocks will become degeneration, so they still do damage. So he's really useful. Then onto the Cosmic class. Hercules, it's obvious, he just becomes immune to everything by being like even death itself, like as in he becomes immortal, so you know why he's up there. Gallon, he gains buff if he doesn't he gains more buffs, up to 3 energy resistant buffs if he doesn't get power burned, or gets power burned but is immune to it. And then he's also stun immune when Harvest is active, and direct damage will be put on the opponent while his Harvest is active, but he's also when he gains planetary mass. And then Knull was on there as well. You know, this channel loves Knull. You know, just more Living Abyss. You start off with more, makes his ramp up so much faster. You can almost finish long fights in plenty of time, gets that SP3, and it's done. So he's up there at SIG 200, obviously. The same with this next champ, Omega Red. Again, love Omega Red, favourite champ in the game. SIG 200, no one can stop with him. Suicide Masteries, he becomes an absolute boss. So yeah, he might have that SIG 200 star on him. I do need to add some stars to say if the champ needs to be SIG 200 or if they just need a small awakening. For example, this next champ, Kitty, she only needs just the 1 SIG. This means she becomes immune when phasing, or immune to damage, doesn't take any damage while phased, which means she can sort of cheese the SP3s, which is really, really useful, especially in, say, that cap fight in, you know, that cap boss that's crit with your best chance. He's just really annoying, so Kitty can be good for that one. Archangel has a chance to reduce ability accuracy when neurotoxins are active, so this can be really helpful in people who are going to evade or going to put armor ups up. You know, just really, really helpful. And then the last one on there, Domino. She's on there because if you get her, the failed abilities from her unlucky cause direct damage, you know, critical failures, just she becomes one of the best defenders in the game. She already is, but with that, she just, you know, she shoots right up there and is absolutely unstoppable. Then we move on to Namor. So as you guys know, with the current Battlegrounds meta, Namor can be really, really good. He should also have the star next to him for that SIG 200. When he is SIG 200, he takes 100% less reflection damage, you know, thorns, damage from, say, Red Skull if you hit him into the block, from the node, the node in the Battlegrounds node where you take direct damage back. So he's really useful. Then we've got Bishop, depending on how many bars he has. If he's got 0, then his special attacks become unblockable. If he has 1 at the beginning of the fight, he becomes stun immune. If he has 2, his incinerates stay on after specials, so that can cause it to do a lot of damage. Then I've also put Colossus. This one I'm not too sure on. The same for him and Toad. I wasn't sure if maybe to put Strife up or Professor X. For Toad, or for Colossus, he just gets armor ups when he is immune to something. So if say you're playing a bleed champ like Nick Fury and you're going to bleed and then he's immune, you gain an armor up, so that's really good on both the defensive end and attacking, you take less damage. And then for Toad, he gets indefinite prowesses when he purifies something he's immune to, so a poison, and then at 10 prowesses he gets a passive stun just immediately, so that could be really useful for taking somebody out, and also on defense makes him really, really strong. Angela, she's practically debuff immune at Sig 200 with her new Sig ability, so that's really, really cool. King Groot, survivability is all I've got written, or it's all I can think about, sorry, and that is Sig 200, King Groot can hardly die. He does so much damage. For long form content, he's really good because his Fury slowly build, his regen is really, really good on that. Then with Medusa, she gets that auto block on 3 Furies, and her 3 Furies build up, so she obviously does more damage, and then also has that auto block in there, which is really, really nice. And then we've got CGR, who has quite a cool one. I actually didn't know this until I looked it up. I always saw people making him Sig 1, and he only needs to be Sig 1. He power lock, fate seals, and heal blocks at 5 judgments, and that also that 5 judgments become Damnation, so they start to degen the opponent. And then obviously Corvus, he can't die if his charges are kept up. If you get a well-timed block on the attack that's going to kill you, it only takes 2 charges off, otherwise it's 4, but then he stays, as long as you keep your Corvus charges up above, say, 4, 5, 6, then he can be immortal, so that's really cool. Tigra gets both her Huntress and, I can't remember the other one. They come on immediately, straight from the off, so that means you can ramp her up so much faster. Diablo is another one who I'm really not sure about. He gets reduced damage while there's a poison on him, but I don't know how important that is. Maybe he could go down and swap for, say, the Hood or Spidey Supreme. And then Mojo's really cool. This one starts him with more followers and subscribers, and this increases his followers, so it makes his build up a lot faster, makes him really annoying on defense. Scorpion gets regen on that Petrify. He's already the best science block champ, but this just takes him up another level. Thing gets protection. Overseer has reduced damage from when if he's immune to something, and then he does direct damage if there is say he's poisoned but he's immune to poison, then he does a direct damage. The same with Mr. Negative. He does a burst when Knullify staggers, etc. the opponent. Eye-Bomb gets longer poisons, and that's your science class. We'll try and run through these a lot quicker because obviously you guys will know the Sig abilities already. It's just sort of why they're here. So for example, Ultron, he's probably the top of, this isn't listed, but for me, he's almost a number 1 option. I've got an Ultron and he's so good. You regen off energy attacks. So Professor X, Bishop, Wiccan, all those champs who do energy damage, he regenerates up to like 75% of the damage that's dealt to him. So he takes 25% less, basically, unless there's a heal block on him. Omega Sentinel, I think, is a little bit overrated. She just gets passive energy resistance on dependent on how many non-damaging debuffs she has on the opponent. Guardian obviously gets massive energy resistance, biggest in the game by a mile. And then Capsam Wilson puts a sap charge on the opponent if he well-timed blocks, and his ruptures last longer. But then also if he causes Mist to fail, then he puts an instant rupture, and that does direct damage as well. So as you can see here, a lot of the good awakened abilities put direct damage, just quickening or speeding up fights. Starkey is the last tech champ. Dependent on how many health he has, he either does great responsibility or great power. Above 50%, he grants taunts. Below it, he has a higher chance to evade. And that's all your tech champs. Skill. Black Widow Deadly Origin is up here because her sabotage debuffs last longer, which means that she does more direct damage on her SP2, so she's really important to have if you want to. She already absolutely smashes opponents down, but is really good. Killmonger I've put on here because that reverberation basically makes him indestructible to SP3s, so he's really, really cool. I really like his SIG ability. Mole Man, I was a little bit unsure, but his it's dependent on how much health he's lost. His crits can increase. Crossbones is a really cool one. He should be to the top of this pack as well. His chance to purify is up to like 75% if awakened at SIG 200. And then Kingpin starts with more rages. For Craven, again, this is a really interesting one. I didn't know. Unblockable when he dashes forwards if the opponent is rooted. And then all bleeds he puts on the opponent become crits when they are rooted as well. Blade. Oh, can't remember Blades off the top of my head. My bad. Apologies for that. But I've got him in there because I know it's really, really good. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it. I think he just does the against dimensional beings. He does more damage, but then also he is it dimensional beings? Not non-dimensional beings. And then he also regens dependent on how much power he has. So that's really cool. His regen is actually, if SIG 200, is one of the strongest in the entire game. And then Falcon gets longer recon, so, you have more chance of taking out the science champs. And that recon just stays on for longer. Really useful in the new Battlegrounds meta. Just these quick ones. Vision takes the power of the opponent after a special attack. Centurion gets passive plasma and shocks. He should probably go up as well because his is really, really cool. Rocket, if an armor break, he's obviously a new buff. If an armor break passively heal blocks, he power drains the opponent if they're while they're under a regen. Cap Infinity War is the leader of the team. Void generates his presence debuffs faster, and then at max stacks, it's converted to a passive Fear of the Void. Piggy, Spider-Ham, evade. If he evades a champ, gives them a Porky Popper. When that's and when he's stunned, any hit gets a 30% chance of also placing a Porky Popper as well, which is really, really, really cool. So, punishing them even more for doing their special attacks. The Hood, stun immune, and steals 10% of power when firing a bullet while invisible. So both of those are while invisible. Spidey Supreme, his different forms either give him a power, burst damage, or buffs, longer duration. Sassy, under 40% attack, can regen. His Unstoppable is also passive during heavies and specials, so they can't be interrupted. And then Hyperion gets longer buffs, which is massive. That power gain, that annoying power gain at SIG 200 lasts even longer. Gore, obviously his buffs coming in. Longer Undermine, which means his buffs last even longer. And that means that the direct damage from his SP3 is also going to become more. And then Cersei, another one, she has to go up because hers is really cool. On defensive end, Glancing, cause her to regen. However many hits you put on her however many she glances, she builds up stacks of regen. It's actually really, really cool. Professor X, as you've seen, I've got an Awaken Professor X, gains channeling charges and increased prowess, so a channeling charge a second. Magneto can't lose more than 4,652 health from any attack. And then he also has increased crit resistance and his heavies deal burst damage. So he should also go up maybe instead of Colossus and Toad. And Strife can get the chance of becoming invisible if he glances an attack. And then he converts his telepathic form to passive if he wins the fight. So they are all the ones that I've got. If you think I've missed people, then please let me know in the comments below. For me, some of the best ones to awaken are obviously Nick Fury and Korg. Korg on the defensive end, Nick Fury for that second line. Valkyrie also for that unstoppable counter. She's one of the best in the game. Infamous Doom gives him as many it really boosts his kit, makes him, double as good. Quicksilver, another one, easier ramp up. Spot, really cool, untouchable utility on there as well. Rintra, another really, really cool one, just gains more power. And the same with Wiccan, who I've put up there. Wiccan, really, really good. Has some really, his SIG ability puts him really at the top tier of Mystic champs. Hercules is probably the best in the game, up there with Nick Fury with his immortality. Gallon, more buffs means more planetary mass, means quicker fights. Null, again, more dead living abyss means quicker fights. Omega Red, in my opinion, if I had one singular awakening gem, I'd stick it in him and SIG 200 him. I love Omega Red. As you guys know, probably my favourite champ in the game. Really can't wait to use him again.